don't have, do we have a quorum? Yeah, Lily is here. So we do have a quorum. So if I would like to hear a motion for us to accept the agenda as our working agenda tonight, or is it at this point, may I hear a motion, please?
I move to accept the agenda as submitted for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Bev. May I hear a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, that's Lily. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay. May I hear all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposers at this time? Okay, hearing none, let's move on. Now, it says something about the minutes, and it's been quite a while since we've met. I'm not sure if we had any minutes over the last 3 months.
Yes, I think we can move past that, Annie, and go into public comment when you're ready.
Right, well, let's do so. So not having any minutes, we're gonna move into item 3 for public comments. And 3 minutes, please, any person. Right now, Robert, help me out to see who has their hand up or who would like to make a comment at this time. Now, I do have, excuse me for being so pushy, but Doug, did you have a comment? We spoke earlier this week. You had a public comment?
Yeah.
Come on, I can see you. Okay, let's hear it.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Annie, and Robert for inviting me to come to the meeting. I enjoyed coming to the MAC meetings over the years. So one of the things that I wanted to do this evening via this Zoom meeting was to make an announcement to the group about an exciting project that we're putting together that is basically an interactive photo exhibit on the history of North Richmond. And the photo exhibit is the use of a number of the photographs that we used over the years in producing the 4 different award-winning documentaries about the history of North Richmond. So what we basically did is we took the photographs of a lot of the rich history in North Richmond, and we assembled it into an online exhibit. The exhibit was going to be at the Richmond Museum, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, that we had to change the exhibit to make it an online exhibit. And so I basically wanted to just put the word out to the people on the MAC committee about this exhibit, and that the hope that all of you here present tonight can help me with the outreach. Let your friends and family and different people know about this exhibit when it's going to launch in the next couple of weeks. Now, another reason why I really wanted to come and make this announcement to the MAC committee was that maybe a week or so after we launched the exhibit for people to view, we're going to have an artist talk and go more into detail and have a discussion about the actual exhibit and the different facets of the North Richmond community. So a little bit of dialogue about the exhibit, and then also, you know, the direction that the community is heading in, and you know, just sharing just different things like that, so that we get people involved and engaged in the actual exhibit. And so what I'd like to do in close,
No, go ahead, Don.
Oh,
I mean, go ahead, Doug.
so in closing, I'd like to coordinate, you know, closely with Robert and yourself, Annie, on emailing people the outreach information. Provide you guys with the outreach information. I put together a nice trailer for the exhibit, which features Robert, and you know, I'd like to just get that information out to people via the internet, and so we can have a nice turnout for people to see this wonderful history of North Richmond.
Okay. Well, very good, Doug. I'm excited with you. It's been coming along for the last year or two, and it's wonderful that you have gotten this far with this piece of work, and you always have such fine work. With that, I'll be more than happy to, to help disseminate this information out to individuals to actually be able to look at your newest work at this time. You do fantastic work.
Thank you.
So,
Hello, Annie. This is Dr. Clark. I have one question for Doug.
yes, okay.
Doug, so is this exhibit going to be at the what is that, the museum down on
Hello?
4th Street?
Well, it was originally scheduled to be at the museum, but now that the museum is closed and we have this new whole way of living, I had to make a decision whether to drop the exhibit or to just do the exhibit online. And the way that we changed the direction of the exhibit, that I'm of the belief that it's gonna be more effective just as effective or maybe more online, because it has the capability of reaching more people at any given time of the day. Say for instance, people might get tired of looking at the reruns on television at night. Well, they can see the exhibit. And not only is the exhibit just pictures, but included in every section of the exhibit is also short video clips of different segments of the 4 documentaries. And so that way, as you're looking at the photographs, then at the bottom of each section, you could click on a number of short videos to actually see how those photographic images were used in the actual documentary, whether it be part 2, 3, 4, or 1, whichever the topic of the section is, you'll see how it was actually used in the documentary. And one of the things that I'm most proud of with this exhibit is the support that we had over the years, through the county, and in particular, the service integration program at the Family Service Center, as well as Supervisor Joya's office, and a number of other key players that helped us to provide an opportunity to train groups of teenagers in North Richmond. See, one of the things that people have to realize when they watch these films, they'll look at it and think that it's, okay, this is a nice little film, nice little documentary. But what I take pride in the most is that we had to train different groups of teenagers from North Richmond for each academy. And once they got trained, we would assemble them into a crew, the actual production crew. And so this was, these young people, this was their summer job, to document the entire history of their community as a summer job, summer employment job, actual work experience on a production crew, to do a film, as opposed to picking up, trash on the streets or filing, papers in the office or somewhere. This was their job. And it was just, a one of a kind program. I think the program was actually ahead of its time, if I might say, Annie. And Annie,
Okay. We got 1 minute, Doug. Okay.
Annie played.
Okay.
Annie played
Do y'all know Cynthia is on this thing? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hear you, Cynthia. So
Okay.
thank you, my dear. I call Doug my nephew because we work so together on these projects. But Doug, thank you so very much. And you'll be hearing more from him through emails at this point. And I really appreciate him stepping up and making his announcement, although I had to pull it out of him. Okay, thank you, Doug. And is there any other public announcement before we get into our law enforcement? Is there any other announcements?
Excuse me, there's, can you just, I don't have an announcement. Is it just open for public comment, or can you, this is my first meeting. Can I ask a question?
Well, it depends on the question. If it's not pertaining to what we have on the agenda, lined up for the agenda right now. If it's totally separate, by all means, do so.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask a question about the construction that's going on at Pittsburgh and Parkway. Is that Parkway? Yeah. So I just wanted to know when I understand from Robert that it was a construction project that the MAC, that this group approved in 2018. So I was wondering when construction starts, right now there are a lot of tremors in the neighborhood. The houses are shaking because of the construction going on. And there has been some discussion on next door. And so I was just wondering when.
I'm sorry, dear. What is next door? And I'm pretty sure that would be something that Robert would entertain in his report.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. And
yeah,
who is this asking the question?
My name
Who's asking this question?
My name is Latifa Abdullah. I live on 2nd Street here in North Richmond.
Very good.
Say
Okay.
your last name again, honey.
Abdullah. And I was just wondering what kind of communication goes out to the community when construction starts.
Okay. So Robert will entertain that. I'm pretty sure he would cover that in his report with Supervisor Joya's office. And
you guys don't do that. Okay.
Yes. For you.
All right. My other question before you go is there a website for North Richmond so we can see what's going on, what's planned, and progress of things?
Yes, it is a website. Matter of fact, it was attached to the agenda.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
For the 10 top things that are happening and has happened in the community. And
okay, great. I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's there, dear. Okay, so with that, any other comments at this time? If not, we're going to go into our law enforcement. Do we have our law enforcement here? We have the sheriff, the city of Richmond. Who do we have online? Hearing none?
None?
Okay. Oh, well, at this point, okay, well, we'll keep moving until if one of them happens to come in, we'll definitely have them to give us an update on the ongoing over the past few months that we've been away to update.
Oh, Annie.
Yes, Dr. Clark.
Yeah, Dr. Clark. Well, hopefully the law enforcement people will come in, but just in case they don't come in, I would like to have Robert to maybe check with the lieutenant or the appropriate person to find out how they made any lead progress on those homicides that have happened in North Richmond since we've been out and haven't been meeting in person.
Okay. Okay, you got that, Robert?
Sure, certainly we will, Dr. Clark. This is our first meeting since COVID-19 suspended in-person meetings in March. And I'm happy to have a good turnout for this meeting. We are having a good beginning basis for discussion. It's disappointing that law enforcement is not here for this meeting, but I imagine that it's a learning curve for all of us, and we can expect their participation at the coming meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of law enforcement, I guess we just might as well mention the homicide that happened July the 3rd. I'm pretty sure Annie is aware of it, that Mark Randall got killed on July the 3rd. So he was like an icon in the community. And plus his family was a very notable family in the community. But that's that.
Mr. Reed's grandson. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Dr. Clark, for your comments. Okay. But right now, we're going to continue to move on, and we're going to go into our presentations and proclamations. And with that, let's look at item A. This is Contra Costa census status in North Richmond. And the presentation is she here? And I don't have her name that is doing, he or she that's doing the presentation. Do we have someone from the census that would be doing it?
Hi, my name is Christine. I work for Contra Costa County. in our planning department and have been working on census outreach. I'm super excited to actually be presenting to the North Richmond community. It was the first community that I worked with when I started in planning about 20 years ago. So it feels like a big throwback with some familiar names like Dr. Clark. And I just wanted to give a quick update on the census and where we're at, why it's important, and some funding opportunities that are available. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Good. And so I'm sure all of you have probably already heard why the census is important, but I'm still going to give you the top big picture ideas. First and foremost, it determines the number of representatives we have in Congress. So it represents our communities. It's written in the Constitution. It's one of the most important parts of our democracy. And probably the reason why we all hear about it so much is that there's a bunch of federal funding that is tied directly to that census count that gets distributed into our communities, whether at the state, county, or local level. Some estimates put that at about $1,000 to $2,000 per person per year. So that's $10,000 for every person that we miss. And in addition to the money coming into our communities, it's also used to distribute a lot of money. CDBG funds, home funds, affordable housing, libraries, all of that is determined by census numbers. And also, of course, it's used in a ton of policy and planning, economic development, emergency planning. If we want to know how many people are impacted, we need to know that big number of how many people are in a particular area. And so it really does represent who's in our community, who comprises our community, if they're represented in the data. And so I do a lot of data analysis, so I think it's really important. Does anyone have any questions about census importance?
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Cynthia. I have a question.
Hi, Cynthia.
You've been doing community outreach in the neighborhood, North Richmond community, right?
We have been, and we're trying to do more.
Because I see where men and women of Valor keep posting on Facebook that they've taken a lead on the census. Are you working directly with Pam Salsa-Bilbo?
Yes, we are.
And any other agencies in the North Richmond area, such as churches or anything?
Richmond, we are working with Men and Women of Valor. We also just are awarding a grant to Urban Tilth. And Urban Tilth is also as a fiscal agent for Rich City Rides and Move Forward.
And just, can I interrupt real quick?
And if I can correct you, also, the president from Shields Reed is here. Okay, Marina?
We're also doing some census too. We have partnered or collaborated with Iron Triangle as well and Davis Chapel, and we're promoting the census. We gave out bags to the seniors, pens, and some other little items promoting the census as well.
I just love
So, Marina, is that through the your city council thing, your council? Shields Reed Council?
The Shields Reed Neighborhood Council.
That would be through the council, okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. I'm going to go through a couple quick timeline things. The census started in March. It was supposed to be over in April, but it has not completed due to COVID, of course. They've expanded the time where you can fill out your census through the end of July and into August. So it's not too late to fill out the census form. And then starting in August, for those who have not filled out their form, you're going to start getting knocks at the door. If you don't like people coming to your door, this is a really good time to get your neighbors out there and actually filling out their census form. Because I don't know, I don't like people coming in and knocking at my door in the evening. I like to eat my ice cream and watch TV. And so that's going to start in mid-August. So far, the county-wide, we've had about 71% of households have filled out their census form. We're doing fairly well county-wide. North Richmond is struggling a little bit. We're at about 47.9% of our households in North Richmond. So that's one reason why I wanted to come and talk to you today, is to let you know that we do need to like work with our community members and make sure that they know how important it is to fill out the census form. And because North Richmond is a community that we still want to do additional outreach, it's an area that we're trying to target the last of our census dollars to North Richmond and also the Bay Point Monument Corridor and Antioch areas. And so we have some community members that are working here, but we also know that we might be missing some community organizations and wanted to see if there's anything that we should know about in North Richmond that we can ensure that we get a full and complete count and have people know about the importance of the census, hopefully from community members, because it holds a lot more weight if it comes from a community member instead of someone who normally sits at a desk like I do.
Okay.
Could I speak? We need translators.
I have a question for you about the census, and you were saying as far as North Richmond, you said, if I'm correct, you said 41% has actually turned it in by
47.9. Yep.
Okay, a 41.9. So we're looking at something like 58. You're looking at 58.1. Between that 58.1% that we're looking at, where is that encompass at? Is it? I mean, you know, once these are sent in, once these dollars are sent in, you can see what addresses and the location that has sent in. But to pinpoint for these individuals that will be going and canvassing, what part are they canvassing? Is it around Market Street? Is it around, you know, what is the general location? Is it Market? Is it Chesley? Is it Dubois? You know, give us a roundabout, because I know you got the figures, you know, to tell us where.
So the data that I have for North Richmond is very much the census tract, the North Richmond census tract. And the Census Bureau only gives us that information. They take data security incredibly, that's really important to the Census Bureau, especially the staff that's been there for a long time. So we just get an overview of what percentage in that census tract has filled out their census form. So the Census Bureau staff, I work for the county, so I don't get to see that information. The Census Bureau staff, starting in August, will have a list of addresses that they're going to go to. I can't share that because they won't give me that information.
Okay, well that's good. I just want to know, you know, if we pinpointed to know about where they're going to be coming and who didn't really turn them in at this time to get a feel of who hasn't really read the information and turned it in.
So
now
we don't know.
Okay. All right, Cynthia.
I have a question.
We butted.
I have a question. Yeah. So you mentioned that you had Pam Bilbo Saucer and working with you. Is Gina Burks also part of that team?
Do you know what organization she works for or works with?
She's affiliated with Men and Women of Valor.
Yes, she works with Pam Bilbo.
If we give money we've granted some funds to some organizations, so we would have given it to like Men and Women of Valor, but then they determine how it's going to be.
Okay. So you don't know. So do you know?
Okay, one at a time.
So do you know if the people, the problem with the census in North Richmond is that you don't know if it's Afro-Americans or Blacks or undocumented people or Latinos or what that's not participating?
We don't have that data because the Census Bureau doesn't provide it at that level. We know that it could be any of those factors because North Richmond has a number of people who do not speak English. They have a lot of African Americans. Poverty rates can be high. So all of those can be factors and why someone might fill out the form. And my guess is with COVID, there's been a lot happening since March. It's been a pretty intense couple of months. And so my guess is that the census just didn't rise to the top. But we don't know demographics of who has filled it out and who hasn't filled it out, unfortunately. It would be really helpful.
Okay, well, I just want to do a correction as far as the property of the individuals out here. As it's been noted in the past, a lot of the property that was looked at was our very low income that was here. Remaining here in North Richmond is mainly homeowners at this point,
Right.
and a few apartments. So it's not a property at this point. Okay. Now, as Dr. Clark has mentioned, it may be a language barrier because right now North Richmond is holding the percentage of more Latinos here than African Americans. Our African Americans is not here in North Richmond as much. So I just wanted to make, that statement. Okay,
Really
Cynthia.
appreciate that. Thank you.
So question I have is that you said you're going door knocking house to house in August, right? So what type of plans have you had to change, and what type of precautions due to COVID are you taking to go door knocking? Will you be going inside the house or standing at the door or what?
The Census Bureau is going to be doing that operation. The county doesn't, our goal is to try and get everybody to fill out their form before the Census Bureau goes out.
Okay, so that's what census take over.
That the Census Bureau will implement some sort of 6 feet on a mask, but I'm not sure that information yet. And
the government will take that part over, okay?
Yeah.
That was it.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Cynthia. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, how much money y'all paying Pam to do that?
Oh, please. No, Christine, thank you so very much for your.
Thank you, and if you have any questions, happy to.
I'd like to say something really briefly, and not a question, but just a point of emphasis. The census count is very important for all our communities, especially North Richmond, as Christine so helpfully let us know. Our numbers are not as high as we would like them to be, but they will get higher with all of our help. So many of the best and brightest in North Richmond are right here at this meeting. Christine has a package of materials that she'll send to me, and I'll send to our entire group, and we should all continue to share it, talk about it, and let everybody know in North Richmond to take it just a couple of minutes to fill out that census information to ensure that this community gets the resources from the federal and state levels that it needs. There's been a lot of great work so far. I saw a lot of it myself at the cleanup on Saturday, or 2 Saturdays ago in North Richmond. We passed out flyers. So many were part of this. So everyone, we have a good turnout here of over 30 people, I think, at this meeting. And let's keep it on the tip of our tongue when we talk to our friends and neighbors. Fill out your census forms. It takes just a moment. It's really cool, and it's how you help your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay. And Christina, are you finished at this point? You done?
I think so, unless you have any other questions. I just want to thank you all for your time and everything.
Okay, now I see that we have a question. I think it's a caller, user number 1. Did you have a comment?
Who is that?
It's noted as call in user 1. So okay, so it's not highlighted again. Okay, so let's continue. Let's move on. Thank you so very much for your presentation. Appreciate it. And as Robert said, let's get this done so we can get this money. Okay, next presentation is item B, and it's the homeless and dumping issue in the community. 20 minutes. So who is that to present for us? I see that it is someone from the county. It's 925-428-4885.
That's my phone number.
Is it? So it's not you speaking. Okay, Robert, who did you have?
Sure. Thank you so much. I think that to best lay out the context, and I'll chip in where necessary. But Daniel Barth has been doing a lot of work. Some residents have some ideas on this too. So let's let Daniel begin. And I know some others have something to offer on this as well. We'll have time for questions also. So Daniel, take it where you want to go, and then others can chime in. Thank you.
Okay, it's great. Thank you. So sorry it says Mary there. That's my wife. She makes the money in the family. So she has.
Oh, so that's who Daniel Perry. Okay,
That's me.
gotcha.
So I'm Daniel Barth, and the little community organizing network that we have is called Safe Organized Spaces, SOS Richmond, Safe Organized Spaces Richmond. So what we've been doing, and we are invited by Shields Reed Neighborhood Council and some other folks to come to North Richmond, because we've been running a pilot program to try to address trash in central Richmond. And so we were working along the Richmond Greenway and the 9 neighborhoods that are adjacent to the Greenway. And we showed that we did a pretty good job. We hire homeless folks. They've been working for $15 an hour to do trash cleanup and to do homeless engagement. We were working around encampments during that period because we wanted to play it nice and slow. But now that we're got a little bit of extra money from the state through the county to the city, we're now expanding our program a little bit. And so now we have maybe 8 or 9 homeless individuals, unsheltered individuals who are part of our streets team. And the streets team goes out to places like where we are right now, where we were today. In fact, I just ran in here now after having dumped a big truckload at the city parks headquarters, is that we cleaned out a whole bunch of debris out of Castro, but specifically in the triangle between Castro and Vernon. There's a whole lot of stuff in there. If anyone who ventured in there, you would know that it's actually pretty toxic. There was lots of paint and nasty substances and just a lot of dumped materials and a lot of stuff that was left from encampments. And so what we're doing is this: we go into encampments, we work with the folks who are living in those encampments. We employ some of those folks as streets team members. Some of them, including there's one at the end of Castro who's our community organizer, one of our community organizers. The goal is that we make healthier communities amongst our folks who are living in the encampments. And we do that by, first of all, dealing with the trash. The trash is the #1 issue of disorder that everyone in the neighborhood feels. Also, of course, there's the behaviors that are not acceptable, that are not respectful of the neighbors who live in the neighborhoods. So we're trying to create a greater sense of order, a greater sense of cleanliness and sanitation, and to try to bring amenities to the encampments so that they can be safer, so that folks can shelter in place and not have to move about so much. For example, if we have toilets, so if we have mobile showers, which we just purchased a mobile shower from San Francisco. We competed with a fancy San Francisco nonprofit, and we got this. We got it through donations from Groundwork Richmond and with Chevron money. And so now we're able to, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, bring mobile showers to specific locations where folks live outdoors. So if we clean up the trash, if we give folks the modeling so that they clean up the trash themselves, which is exactly what happens. Experience has shown. If we go in there and we model by cleaning up trash and we give them a bunch of trash bags, what folks do, they pick up the trash. They bag their own trash. So if we do those things and we bring in these additional amenities that every one of us should be having, especially during COVID, especially during this homelessness crisis, then we're improving the situation for them, but we're also improving the situation in our neighborhoods, your neighborhood. So I'm here from Central Richmond. I live on Chancellor. I'm coming up to you. I first worked in my neighborhood on Chancellor, on the Richmond Greenway. We did the work. Right after I leave out of here, I'm going to be going to East Greenway. We have a community meeting there. We're going to try to bring the things that we want to bring there, like the drinking water and the mobile shower and so forth, and to try and bring organization together. And then we outreach. We outreach into the neighborhood. We become the ambassadors of what we want to see happen in neighborhoods. Can we represent a better way of dealing with homelessness at a low cost, very cost efficient way, I believe the answer is yes, but we have a lot of roadblocks in front of us. First and foremost is we need to be able to have the trash get taken away. My little Toyota truck here does not pull the 50 bags sitting outside right on Castro right now. And Republic Services, we need to have a better relationship, an improved relationship, a great relationship that you have with Republic Services. Now we need to improve on so we can start moving the mountain of trash that's still around in our neighborhoods. We've only just begun. We only started this 3 weeks ago. And so we need to be able to move that trash. We need to be able to have partnership with y'all. We started to create those relationships. There's a number of us in this meeting who know what we're doing, have seen us doing it, have participated in what we're doing, and are part of this partnership. And what's the partnership? It's housed and unsheltered residents working together to bring on personal, neighborhood, and institutional change. And we're talking institutional change because if we can get Republic Services to improve their services for the community, for our neighborhoods, if we can get the electeds like Robert is showing up and he is part of, to be more, to have the solution for the responsiveness to the problems in our neighborhoods. If we can get the administration, you know, the department, the abatement folks and the parks folks, all to be working together with us. RPD, you know what we did a couple weeks ago? Excuse me, a couple days ago? We called out, and it was at the end of Castro, the folks in those RVs, they said, you know what? There's 9 stolen vehicles in our encampment, in our RV community, and they need to be removed. And frankly, they said, the folks need to be removed because we need to have positive folks living together here. The folks that are moving from Vernon, they move to Castro. The folks that are on Castro, they're moving in under where the Richmond Parkway is. They are moving in where those 9 vehicles got towed away by RPD. That's a partnership that we have. We just met with the commander, Lieutenant Smith, of Central Richmond, and we're trying to deepen our relationship so that when we call, when I get a tip from an encampment resident who says, you know what, there's something happening right now, and then, or a neighbor says, you know what, there's something happening right now, and then I then communicate, because you know, if someone needs to do it, well, I'll do it. And I'll communicate with RPD. I'll start with Michelle Milam, and we'll go straight to the folks who are doing the beats, who we're now creating better relationships with. Then we can get response on this quality of life issues, on these criminal issues, and not scapegoat the homeless folks themselves. You know, of course, homeless folks, just like all of us, some of us are doing the criminal activity or maybe doing unhealthy activities, but it really is, how can we as a community support the building of healthy behaviors? And this is one way, a low-cost way to do it. So with that, I'll have Lita let us have a discussion.
Okay, we're open up for questions.
Madam Chair, this is Marina. Can I say something?
Yes, please do, because I was gonna pull you out too, like I did Doug. You've been very active.
I just wanted to say how much I appreciate Daniel and the street team, because they are able to do things that we're not able to do as residents, as it relates to going into these encampments. And our whole thing, especially from Shields Reed Neighborhood Council's point of view, we didn't want to see our homeless folks here in North Richmond scattered all about. We wanted them to be in one location where they will, can receive services, and they will be able to take care of themselves, make sure that things are cleaned up and what have you, because we had people scattered all over the place. And one thing that really bothered me so was there was this elderly lady who looked like she was in her late 80s. She was living in an RV with, I think, her grandson. And they would come out at night and go to the market here on the corner of Vernon and Fred Jackson Way. And so when Dandy did a presentation from CORE, I asked her, would she go out and approach this elderly woman to get her someplace safe in the house? And she refused to leave the RV because her grandson could not go to be housed, because she could have been in emergency housing because of her age or what have you, but she refused to leave the grandson. You know how African Americans are, people of color. We believe in taking care of our family members.
Yeah.
And she refused to depart. So it was bothersome to see that. And knowing that they were in this RV, it needed some work, it needed some things to happen. But they have a community down there on Castro. So Daniel, when talking to him, he was willing to go in and to really negotiate and deal with this population, deal with the city, deal with the county. Robert Rogers came into play. Everything came together to make the difference. I mean, I appreciate North Richmond Green, the things that they could do, but sometimes their hands are tied. And there's certain things that they cannot do where you got this SOS team, the street team, they'll go in and they will go at it and make things happen. So I can totally appreciate it. And we started a kickoff right there at Kelsey and Willard at the railroad crossing, because Pacific Railroad Crossing of Richmond, they won't clean that up. So we're trying to make the little emphasis and dents as much as we can, but we definitely appreciate the street team and Daniel, because Daniel is a volunteer. He doesn't even get paid. He's just doing it out of the kindness of his heart to coordinate this process. So thank you, Daniel, and thank you for coming to North Richmond and coming to the MAC.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, President Marina Brown of the Shield Street Neighborhood Council. Now, are there any other comments or questions for Daniel at this point?
Yes.
I have a comment. I'll keep it very brief.
That's just really go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to also say that I also really appreciate the work of SOS Richmond. We found out about them last year when they applied for some funding through the ECIA grant program. And then Chevron was able to partner with Groundworks Richmond, as he mentioned, and provide some additional funding directly for their COVID response work. So I really appreciate the opportunity to hear from him today. And it's an amazing program. They really do get right in there and reach places where a lot of us can't. So look forward to continuing supporting this program.
Wonderful.
So who's this that just gave the compliment?
That was Lily, our board member, council member.
That was Lily?
Yes.
Okay. And so, do I ask a question now?
Yes, please do. And then I have a comment. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I have a question,
Okay,
Annie.
so my question.
Okay. And who is that next?
Okay, want me to go ahead?
Yes, go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay, the homeless encampment, the one on Vernon, you guys say it's pretty large, huh? It's a large encampment?
Daniel?
At the end of Vernon, where
is the largest Protestant encampment in North Richmond?
Oh wow! So I'm still getting deeper into all the ins and outs of North Richmond. I would say that the biggest encampments are, and I don't know if it's North Richmond, if it's San Pablo. I mean, but the creeks go from city to unincorporated to. And so we can look at the creeks as the #1 place, because the more hidden people are, I mean, that's what we've created. We've created a situation where folks go to the hidden corners in order to not be pushed. Or in fact, they've been pushed to those corners. Now, the other encampments are, like, say, at Brookside. And, but mostly it's along the tracks, along the creeks, and then in some select places, like at the end of Castro, there's, well, I'd say about 25. I haven't, we were going to have a community meeting at 4:30, but that didn't work out. So I'm going to have our first community meeting. Then I'm going to see how many people there are, because, you never get folks together. You don't really know how many people are there. But behind Pick and Pull is supposedly the biggest in North Richmond. That's what I would say.
Now, I have a
question. Up in them creeks.
Yeah, I have a question, Daniel. You just hit on one of the locations. I remember a couple.
Who is it?
This is Annie. This is Annie.
I'm busy, baby. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. Daniel, I have a comment and a question of about the work you're doing. It's fantastic. You know, this is the first time we really truly hearing your presentation, and to hear what you're doing and to actually be a part Shields Reed and Iron Triangle and just everyone that are allowing you to go out and do your work at this time. And that's just, I appreciate, you know, seeing it, because again, it's a lot of things that we cannot do at this point, but you taking the initiative to step out and do it, you know, by heart. Now, you mentioned a place by Pick and Pull, correct? It is
That's right.
location. It is a location that I found a couple years ago due to my residence, one of my residents out in the unincorporated area on Verde Street. It was a full-blown encampment where they had built a shelter directly in the creek behind my premises. And it took a total, it took a total of 4 truckloads for the county public works to remove it. Okay, they had makeshift. They had a makeshift shelter. You know, they even had a pen for their dogs. I mean, you know, they had been there for quite a while. They had barbecue pits and so forth. But anyway, just to say that, I don't know if they've returned. I haven't heard anything yet, you know, from the conversation, you know, because they were actually removed. But by Pick and Pull, underneath, it's a water, it is a, how can I say it? It is a tunnel, I guess a tunnel where water runs through from Alvarado and goes through, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
they have a lot of graffiti and a whole bunch of things. You know, it's way out there in the boomies, more or less. And it has been a home. It has been a homeless. It has been shelter for homeless for years, undisturbed. And they come out beneath the tracks periodically. Is that still going on? Have you looked at that location?
Yeah,
Daniel.
I'm about to go back out there next week with our community organizer, who's going to hopefully be our community organizer for all of North Richmond, or at least one of. And so we're going to go out there again. It's been a while since I've been there. Last when I was there, they had large structures that were taken down. And usually if it's 4 truckloads, it could be as many as we've done.
Oh, it was families out there. They were out there, yeah.
Yeah, when you take apart what people's lives are, you know, the structures that folks have created, and the trash that sometimes gets left behind, or more importantly, or more frequently, dumped by neighbors, not by the unsheltered residents.
Right.
So the amount of trash. We've done cleanups where easily 5 truckloads have been taken by the city parks. So to create the infrastructural support system is going to be a huge undertaking. It doesn't have to be extremely expensive, but it has to be extremely cooperative. So can we get public agencies working together with community advocacy efforts, with community organizations that are located in the area, with the neighbors, with, you know, community cleanup folks who are willing, who are able to take the initiative to be able to represent for the neighborhood. It's going to take a lot of work, and there's no easy way about it. But so getting to pick and pull is going to be a big endeavor because they're so hidden away.
Right.
Yeah, and this is Dr. Clark. I have a couple of questions. Yeah. So in terms of, so do you know, this is for the gentleman there. So these homeless encampments in North Richmond, how many, do you know the percentage of the people that occupy these encampments specifically from North Richmond? Or have they just come into North Richmond from other places?
You know, that is a good question. I don't have the answer to that. You know, data is not something that's my specialty, and nor is looking towards the past. What I do when I'm talking with folks is, where can we go from here? So do I ask where you from? You know, how it comes up, and I would say most of the folks who we see in Central, in North, are from the neighborhoods, from the street sometimes that they are from. So I wouldn't say, you know, folks are coming from other places to come because North Richmond has that opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Dan. This is Dr.
I just,
Santiago, and we've had
yeah,
this conversation. This is for you,
yeah,
Dr.
we've been
Santiago.
having this conversation for a while, even before Los Deltas was demolished, that we have been having people coming in, and we start collecting data when we were at Los Deltas, because people were coming to Vegas and Berkeley. And it was a point that flyers had gone out from different places that North Richmond had buildings that was available, when we started closing them down. So we started doing the data. We also found out some of the people were coming out of the West County Detention Facility, women that did not have shelter anywhere else. So it was an easier walk to come in here as opposed to being in El Cerrito, Albany, where they not gonna have it. But one of the things I wanted to say to you, thank you very much. I would like to help with a truck, Reachwood. If we could coordinate some days, we could rent a truck and meet you somewhere and help you load up some of the stuff and drive it to wherever you needed to go. The third thing was, how do we get food to your workers? Because we've been out doing food and gloves and stuff. And do you need any tools? Because we still have tools from our days of cleaning up north. So those are the kind of things that we're looking at. Also, the other thing was, a lot of homeless people have tickets for trespassing tickets, and those tickets add up. Only good thing, because of the coronavirus, nobody's going to jail because nobody wants to be picked up. Plus, our jails and prisons are overcrowded and everybody's sick. So how do we get those things done for some of your team that may have those legal issues? So when this is all over, it's clean. But if we could get together, Annie, somehow or another, me and Annie can call you, set up a day, I can go get a truck, or maybe a few days, and add to what you're doing, and then find out how do we get to you, to your.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Now,
So,
who was
Daniel,
just speaking
so
now?
you and Dr. Santiago
Yeah.
hook up
That was Bishop.
And get that information. Okay?
Yeah.
Annie, that
Yes.
was Bishop speaking,
Yes,
right?
that was me.
Yes, it was. That was
Yeah.
it. And you know,
And she said,
it helps.
get a truck, or she has access to a truck.
Right. If we
I
can,
have several accesses to truck.
Okay,
Could I-
fine.
could I-
From
Could
what
I
is that?
mention
Yeah.
one thing there?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, about the comment and the observation that folks come to Richmond because they're getting pushed out of places like Berkeley and Oakland, where its situation is untenable, and it is. But
Yeah.
let me point out, and those of us who have been around, I've been running homeless shelters since the 80s, so I know what it is like in the service industry, and I know folks came, generations almost ago, from Richmond to Berkeley to Oakland, because that's where the services were. And now, if folks are coming back to Richmond, well, let them come back home. Let them come back home. So let's. I don't want us I don't want us necessarily to say. And Dr. Clark, I respect you. I've done so, worked with you since the 80s also on disaster response issues. I don't want us necessarily to draw the line between neighborhoods, between communities, between cities, between counties, because you know what? We're all in this together. But as to the issue of
For
the
me,
truck.
Okay, Daniel, that was Dr. Santiago.
Yeah, so that
Yeah,
for
but
me,
no, but Dr. Henry Clark started us off. But
yeah.
with Edwina, I heard you. This I don't want to miss.
Yeah.
Is that you're
Yeah.
offering the potential of a truck?
Yes.
And there's not one thing that we need more right now than access to actually two trucks. One would be to move our mobile showers from location to location every single day, because that should be used every single day once we get this thing up and running in the next couple of weeks.
I can volunteer at least 2 days, and we can see where we can go from there.
Okay, and then of course hauling trash is a big truck. So yes,
when
I'll
they're out
follow up
there
with you.
working.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you so very much, Daniel, and Dr. Santiago, and Dr. Henry Clark, and everyone else with their comments at this point.
Annie?
Due to the time is 6:01, and we're doing pretty good on time, but we still have another item. We have a few more items on this agenda, okay? So Daniel, at this point, thank you so very much for your presentation, your outstanding work, and God bless you for what you're doing and continue your good works, okay?
Thank you.
At this point, we're looking at item 5 for discussion, and this is calls for an action, okay?
Annie?
Robert,
Annie?
yes.
I'm very sorry to interrupt. I understand that resident Caprice James, who lives on the street that we're discussing,
Right.
has a little bit that she'd like to share.
Sure.
Exactly.
Okay, where?
Thank you.
Yes, please do.
I want to say thank you to Daniel for helping to clean the street up because it was really bad. So I really appreciate you guys all working together to help mitigate the issue. I do have a question about the fence that is along on Vernon where the trucks and cars like go into that field. Is it going to be closed up at some point to prevent people from going in there because that is contaminated, area? What is going to be done with that fence? And also the trash that's like directly across the street, it's getting worse. It's spilling into the street now. There's like washing machines, I think about 4 or 5 washing machines. There's some dryers. There's like big electrical, stuff like that. So what's going to be done with that? Are you guys going to come out and figure that part out with the trash? And then are we working with someone with the fencing?
On the fencing, okay.
Robert, I think I'm going to turn that over to Robert at this point and see if he can expound on what you were just asking. And as far as as far as you said, washing machines and large appliance items that are there. Hello.
We're listening.
Okay,
but before Robert say something, I would like to say that, being North Richmond just had that cleanup thing, that issue should have been addressed on cleanup day.
Yeah, for those washers. That's what I was going for. But Robert, thank you, Cynthia. Robert?
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks very much. On the issue of the fence, I believe Caprice is talking about the south side of Vernon Street. There's a fence separating the street from the field. That also is the border between the city and the county. The fence would be the city's fence that is blocking the area or the entry to a piece of land that's contaminated, that is the city's land. Now, of course, we can go to the city and have them repair their fence. However, before I do that, I want to make sure that it doesn't create another problem, because I think that that fence being down right there is providing some passageway to Castro. And I think that Daniel might be able to say a little more about that. On the issue of the appliances and trash, I think that Caprice is talking about a vacant lot that is right next to her house on the north side of Vernon. Is that right, Caprice? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that problem is the situation of that's a private lot. That's owned by somebody who owns the land next to Caprice's house, and people are dumping on it and it's not being cared for. And so I have sent our code enforcement out there, and they've started laying on the tickets, the citation, you need to fix up your property. And that's a process, unfortunately, before we can go in there and clean it up and send them a bill. So it takes a little time. That unfortunately Caprice happens to live next to a piece of land that's owned by someone, I don't know, a private person who's not taking care of their land, an absentee owner, and that's bad. So back to the fence. Daniel, is it a problem to fix that fence? Please tell me.
I don't think any fence withstands the ravages of people going through it. Now, a little chain link fence would be opened up the next day, and folks are driving vehicles through it, and they have their vehicles in it. I mean, even if we need it, which we do, and frankly, the city and county need it to get in there to pull the trash out. It's at a point right now that it needs to be almost bulldozed, but we're going to try and do it by hand if we have the sanitation support from city, county, and or Republic Services. So the fence would be something that we would use to seal it off, but after everything has been taken out of that area. But there's practically no way for it to be, it's going to get opened up as soon as it gets closed.
Right. And I would like to address the fence also. The fence, if you repair it in one spot, it's going to get opened up on the other spot. And there's fence all around that area, especially coming off the parkway. People have been using that shortcut for years to come off the parkway, come down to North Richmond, get the drugs, jump back on the freeway. So it's just no way possible to seal that off fence-wise.
One more
we
thing.
can go back to Robert. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Annie. Slightly different but related topic. Excuse me. I understand there's also a concern about street sweeping on the street. You know, the county contracts private companies to sweep streets, and sometimes the performance is not what we would like. So we need reports of where the problem is, and we can follow up. I know Caprice had a concern. I also spoke with our great coordinator in North Richmond, Felisa Orozco, who I believe is on this call. She certainly was. And she will get me more precise information, and we'll be able to lean on our contractor to do a better job of street sweeping.
Well, Robert, you know, with that, it seems as though even though we have that service, that the sheriffs do not enforce the cars needing to be moved. So what I've noticed is they just kind of go straight down the street and all the cars are just where they are.
Please send me an email or call me or Felisa anytime with exactly where we have parking violations and non-performance of street sweeping, and we'll be able to improve.
Great.
Excuse me, Robert.
Robert, what? Okay.
Okay, Dr. Clark at the end, and then Bishop.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert, since we talking about fences and so forth, I just wanted to check in on that issue that I reported to you about people along Battery Street there complaining about that grass and that fence all along Battery Street down to that point, probably down to the point where you're talking about, which as I said, reported before, I understand, and Lily is there, I understand that that property belongs to Chevron. And so in terms of maintaining that, she needs to know that whoever you talk to, that that property needs to be maintained, and that fence all along that area there, all the way down Battery Street, not just is Chevron's property, and that people are complaining to me that this is summertime coming up and that people fires starting and so forth, and people live just beyond that fence on Battery Street there, and they're concerned about that property, that fence being maintained as well as the property, because I'm being told that blackberry bushes are growing up on that fence along that area there, and is knocking the fence down, and people are trying to patch it up, which is not really working.
Henry, that's behind you guys' property.
Wait, Cynthia, wait. Bishop was next. Are you done, Dr. Clark?
Yeah, well, I want to know whether from Robert, whoever, what's being, or Lily, Robert, or what's being done about that.
Okay, Robert and Lily to answer that, and then the Bishop.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm happy to have a conversation with with Robert and whoever else offline, and we can follow up on it and make sure it's being taken care of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you, Lily. I do not know for certain the ownership of the property. We are talking about a lot west of Battery, east of the Parkway, south of Gertrude, and north of Vernon. That's the boundary around it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly who owns it, but I did get the helpful report from Dr. Clark on June 16th. Thank you, Dr. Clark. Immediately reported it. Code enforcement went out for citation. I sent you a copy of that as well, Dr. Clark. I'll speak with Lily about it offline. I'm not sure if she knows exactly who owns the property, but obviously if her organization does, I'm sure they'll do everything they can to improve it too.
Yeah, well, let me just say this in closing. You know, this is not the first time that I've reported to you about that particular problem, and it comes up every year. You know, last time I've checked into it, and last time I was told that all of that property from the Parkway, as that Parkway hill slants down into Battery Street, I was told before that all of that belongs to Chevron.
That's on the west side of the Parkway.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Clark. So Robert and Lily, and I'm pretty sure you offline could get in.
Can I ask a question real quick, Annie?
Bishop, yeah, and then Bishop.
Yeah.
Have you yeah.
On some of the cars.
Oh, we can't hear you, Bishop.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of the cars that are on Fred Jackson from Silver all the way down to almost to Pittsburgh, a lot of those are abandoned cars, and a lot of those are cars that people, or they weekend cars, they have them covered up. They're working on them. I'm not sure if they up to California Penal Code on the automobile. So sometimes they just sit there. And so it's a challenge to get the street sweepers really to get a lot of the street cleaning up, because these cars, some of these cars been sitting there since we've been on Fred Jackson 6 years ago. Okay, so there, I know under the penal code, there's, you know, you either got to go to DMV and make them not to move them, but does that mean they stay in that one spot forever? You know, have people gone and moved on, so we don't know if where the owners are or if they just they're there. And so we need to find out, what does the penal code say around automobiles being in one place and never move.
Okay, well, see, that's one of the things, Robert, if we can, even offline, if we can address to our highway patrolman for the area and to ask them to clarify the penal code for that, for non-operational cars, and for the length of time that they sit, and do they continue to sit on the public streets or in front of, you know, and when do they, you know, actually when do they move, you know? So that's one thing, you know, if you can kind of, you know, send that out to Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol, that usually come and present to get that clarification, and send it all out to us and let us know what's going on with that. The other thing, I just want to keep us on a time frame. Cynthia, you had something to say. We want to kind of wrap it up so we can get to this next, you know.
No, I was just trying to figure out what piece of land Doctor was talking about. I asked him, was it that's a piece of land behind his family's property?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Triple land, yes. Okay.
Okay, because like I said, the Parkway, if Chevron is responsible for it, well, the Parkway splits Chevron property between that land and the Parkway.
Well, Lily is going to check.
The Parkway goes down straight between Chevron's property, if that's the case.
Well, Lily is going to actually check into it and see, and to have, you know, and to clarify who owns what, and her and Robert,
right.
They are going to have that conversation offline, okay? But they'll let us know the outcome, okay? So with
Yes,
that,
we'll report next time.
we're gonna go into our next item, and which is item 5. If that's okay with you, Robert. And do we have? It's for discuss. It's up for discussion and a recommendation for our cannabis project and its proposal. Is our presenter here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear him.
Yes.
Who's speaking?
This is James Lee.
Hi, James.
James Lee.
Okay, James, you're on.
Okay, so thank you for allowing me to have this time to explain a little bit about myself and why I chose North Richmond and why I have decided to go into a cannabis business. I'm not a typical, for say, a cannabis owner. In fact, if you would have asked me maybe 5 years ago, I would have said that would have never happened. Let me kind of share my story, how I got here. About 5 years ago, my church has sent me to build orphanages around the world, particularly in third world country. I've been doing that for 7 years, but about 4 years ago, I got called back home because my oldest son was struggling with mental health issue and attempted to commit suicide. He jumped in front of a car that was going 45 miles an hour. Thank God he survived that incident and was hospitalized, and that brought me back home. During that time, we got him counseling, we got him to medication. Nothing seemed to snap him out of his state. Until one of the doctors recommended cannabis. I was adamantly against it. I said no. But my wife and I, after we talked about it, we had my son try it. In fact, that particular medicine have brought many change in my son's life, particularly working with cannabis. Because I have a lot of connection in Richmond, I got him a job at one of the cannabis growing facility, and he loved it. And so my perspective of cannabis have changed a lot, and seeing my son kind of having a little more purpose in life. And so when I sat down with my son, I said, son, what do you want to do? Kind of career, talking about those typical things. And I asked him, would he be interested if I got him a cannabis location where he can grow? And his eyes lit up. And one of the things I want to emphasize that I'm not building a typical cannabis location because I know about 90% of cannabis locations, growers in Richmond, have visited almost all of the location. Number one goal for cannabis location is to make money. So often they come in, they build not very high-tech facility. They save money in the build out in the process of just growing and making money. I want to build a facility where health issues can start to train them and start to take ownership of their work. And so we're investing a lot of money in high-tech equipment, and we're going to be basically gutting out the whole building and rebuilding it from scratch, from ground up. And we hope to build a facility that is odor-free. We will build a facility that will allow whoever's working there to enjoy what they're doing. Our priority number one is not to make money, but to help the community. And so what we're doing as far as community outreach, and that's where my son and I have come together, is that we like to give 5% of our revenue to mental health community organizations in Contra Costa County. And that way, the money that we make from the facility will reach out beyond our 4 corners of our building. We will spend a lot of money in high-tech camera for safety. We will have security guards, and I intend to keep the neighborhood clean and do regular cleanup in the neighborhood. And I'm hoping us being there and building relationships with our community, that would be not just a safe place, but a place that we can all benefit from. I know I know everyone probably has a lot of questions, and so with that, I can answer questions.
But you know,
Okay.
I can easily let mine state before I start. But thank you for giving us a brief. Have you been with us before?
Yes.
Yeah, she's presented before.
Right, I thought so. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump in from where we left off the last time. I know thank you for coming again. But for the size of this, for the size of this facility, what is the size of the facility that you're looking at in this location, or have you already found the location at this point here in North Richmond?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a location in Chesley, 703 Chesley, and which we are in escrow right now to purchase that building.
Okay, so that's over there by Indiana.
Ring building.
Okay, ring building. Okay, very good. Now, the other thing for the operations, I have two more questions, and then I'll let everybody else chime in. But as far as your operational, what is your intake? I think the last time you told us the annual, your annual money, well, the annual monies that you're looking for to make for this, for this operation. What is that fee? What is that annual? What is the annual that you'll be making yearly?
I think it's gonna take about 5 years to jump it off.
Will you be making 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year, 400,000 a year? What is your annual? What do you see your annual take for this operation in order to be able to give us 5%, to give the county 5% to go into mental health? And I think the other thing was that part of that was to look at a nonprofit within that serves our community. And one of the organizations we spoke of was on Broadway. Oh God, I'm getting a senior moment. To look at the Bureau on Broadway for their mental health services, since that was a nonprofit, in order for you to connect with them to serve this community. That was one of the things that we brought up. So have you thought about that? I know you said that right now you're in escrow with the location right now, but have you reached out to that organization? I think it was actually recommended for you, or you had already met with that organization that does mental health. James?
Yeah.
Hello?
I'm very well connected with most of the nonprofit organizations in Richmond. So I will be there's several pieces that has to come through in order for us to even get to the point of where the escrow will close and we actually move in. And we're far away from that. So once we get a little bit closer, I will probably reach out to these nonprofits organization. Again, I am very well connected with almost all nonprofits in Richmond. So it will be my pleasure to work with them and to support them.
Okay. And so that was just some of my questions that I just wanted to refresh, at this point. I thought you had came to our and made a presentation.
Okay.
I'm going to open the floor. Yes, Cynthia?
Check this out. Can I just kind of reflect on the last time he was here and give you guys a little briefing?
Well, you can add on to his yes.
Okay, so he says it's a $3 million investment, $1 million to put the building together. He's giving 5% of profit into mental health healing. He will employ 34 people and will not give money to the community for the next 3 years.
Okay, now I just
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last phrase, last sentence?
Will not be able to put money into the community for the next until like 3 years from now.
Okay.
Until we make profit.
Okay, I have a question that has just come to me. James, are you part of the Richmond Commerce? Have you did this presentation before?
Yes, he is.
Yes. Okay. So that was my question. That was the other question. Okay, that had just come to me. So where do you stand with the Richmond Commerce? So where are we standing? You know, will we be hiring? And I think this is one of the things Dr. Clark brought up and was very adamant about it. Moving, you know, having to look at this process and having this facility here, that you will be hiring from the community. And is this still part of your plan?
Yes, very much, very much.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Dr. Clark.
Yes,
hello.
Dr. Clark. Go ahead.
Well, thank Mr. Lee for coming out, giving the presentation. But as I recall from our last meeting, you know, I remember him, Mr. Lee. I recall asking you about, you talked about the 5% that you want to go for a mental health program somewhere, and that's all fine. But as I indicated, that I don't think that, and still don't think that that 5% or it should be coming out of any amount of resources that's earmarked specifically for North Richmond. And I believe, as I asked you specifically, you had said and agreed that when you start making a profit, that you was open to at least 25% coming back to specifically for North Richmond. Now, did you say that, or am I quoting you wrong?
And then
No.
I had, okay, go ahead.
No, I don't remember saying 25%.
No, because it's not in the minutes, but what we did ask was for him to submit.
Excuse me, Cynthia. I know what I asked him, and I know okay, so you maybe wrote it down wrong, but I know what I asked him, and I know what the conversation was all about. You know, because I said that we were getting at least 25% from the that hazardous waste facility over there across the tracks where Viola, that we were getting at least 25% from Viola, but we were splitting it half and half between North Richmond specifically and the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council. So I know what I asked him, and I know what he had agreed to at that particular time. So what you're saying now is that you are the 5% that you're talking about, that you want to give, you want to give to mental health program, that you want that 5% to come out of any part that is agreed to for North Richmond?
I've never agreed to 25% going into North Richmond. Just give perspective of what City of Richmond is doing. City of Richmond cultivators are not required to give any percentage back into Richmond. The most they're required to do is give $5,000 a year, some even $1,000 a year, to be used to clean up the neighborhood street. And so when we went back and looked at our pro forma, because it has to work for us for numbers wise, unless we build a facility.
Oh, Mr. Lee, we can't hear you chiming out. No, we missed you.
Okay, sorry. So I said that, I said that we went back and looked at the numbers, and to give 25% of our profit to North Richmond, we would not sustain, we would not survive. We looked at our pro forma, we looked at how much the products cost, how much labor costs, how much mortgage costs, everything that goes into our expense at 5%, we would basically not survive.
Okay, but you saying that you went back and you looked at the numbers, but you apparently, after you came and gave that presentation to the MAC, you went back and looked at the numbers, because apparently you didn't say those numbers, what you're saying right now, when you gave the last presentation to the MAC. But in the final end, so what are you offering North Richmond?
So again, with all respect, I don't remember saying or agreeing to pay 25%.
Well, what are you offering to North Richmond?
Okay.
I do remember you suggesting it because of you'll. I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, I asked you, so you said that you didn't say that. What are you offering North Richmond specifically?
Well, our mission is to support mental health patients. That's our mission. And so we've dedicated to give 5% back into our community. We can designate that only for North Richmond if that's what everyone prefer, as long as it goes into mental health nonprofit organizations that's going to support mental health disease in our community.
Excuse me. Well, let me conclude this.
Yes, okay, Doctor. Okay.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, as a MAC member, you full of crap, man. I don't support what you're talking about, and I'll be the first one there picking in your operation if it's approved, because this is nonsense. This is nonsense. You're talking about 55%, but it's going to some mental health somewhere, and you ain't saying nothing. With you want North Richmond to take all the risks of a shelter in your operation there, and you ain't saying nothing about no percentage or nothing coming back to specifically for North Richmond. And the 5% that you're talking about, you want that to be just the amount that you saying that is coming for North Richmond for mental health somewhere else that ain't got a damn thing to do with the community. And you talking nonsense.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Clark. I'm getting a little 5 minutes from Robert. But what I do want to say, I did have a chat comment here to Mr. Lee, and one of the chat is to ask you. You're speaking of mental health services where this money will be allocated to mental health services to Contra Costa, but not just to Contra Costa, since it's happening in North Richmond, per se, for it to be going to a mental health services that serves the North Richmond area would be preferable.
Yeah.
To go
we can change that.
To a North Richmond nonprofit, or a nonprofit that not to the county, because I've worked with the county, and when you have monies that are donated as funded, that money get all obscured. It goes everywhere. It says to be allocated for one thing, but when you get short, they'll move that money somewhere else. So it has to be allocated specifically to a nonprofit that serves North Richmond. Now with that, I'm going to close out with that. I hope no one else.
My hand is up. My hand is up. Hello, my hand is up.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Okay, President of the okay.
Yeah, so
we're going to have Marina. Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I was talking, Mr. Lee. I didn't hear you. Say what you have to say. Marina Brown is next, and then Robert has to come through, okay? In that order, okay?
Yeah, no, I was going to
Go ahead.
First of all, what is the name of this?
That I don't mind.
Mr. James, go ahead, and then Marina Brown.
I was going to say, I think that's a fabulous idea. I don't mind. In fact, I would prefer the money going to North Richmond instead of Contra Costa County. Because this was a Contra County RFP, I thought that's where it had to go. But I would love to work with organization that supports North Richmond and have that fund go toward North Richmond exclusively. I love that. I have no objection to that.
Okay, very good. Marina?
First of all, it's stated on the agenda, this is a cannabis project or proposal. What is the actual name? That's one. And number two, have the residents of Chesley Mutual Housing been approached? Are they aware of this? And then you have a faith-based that's right down the street, which is Davis Chapel. Have you gone before any of those bodies and, you know, made your proposal known to these individuals? I mean, to these entities?
So we presented it to the county and the County Board of Supervisors. So this is our first community outreach.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, your second one, because you made a presentation to us.
Yeah, second one.
Yeah, the second one. It's not your first one, it's the second one. So, you know, we're aware. Okay. Now, okay, with that, thank you for your presentation.
Ask a question.
I have a comment. Who is user one? Okay, Marcus, would you like to speak? Okay, I have one more and then Rob. Okay, Mr. Marcus, okay, and then I have, again, I wish you all would tell us your names when you speak out so Cynthia can get the minutes right, okay?
Okay.
Okay, who's speaking now?
I can't hear you. Marcus?
Marcus who, Bird Ray?
Oh, we can't hear you. You gotta hit your unmute. I see you unmuted, but I can't unmute. I see you red. You gotta unmute. Hit that little red button. With the microphone, with the line through it, hit it, clear it up so we can hear you. I still can't hear you. No, we can't hear you. Oh. You might have to, I tell you what, we can't hear you at this point. But you know, contact Robert with your comment. Okay, thank you. User one and then Robert.
Oh.
Okay, user one is gonna, Robert, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to yield my question to Caprice, but as you answer it, James, could you go into a little more detail about what the project is in the neighborhood? I know there's a background document. Maybe not everyone's read it, but talk a little more about the facility, how many people work there, and so forth. Caprice, please ask your question, and James, please answer.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. So I wanted to know, like, how many jobs would you be providing to residents? Would you be hiring residents in North Richmond? And what kind of jobs would it be?
James?
I just told you guys, he said 34 jobs.
Yeah, it's our, as well as others who have experience. I have no, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay. So
we hear you, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
I was saying that I don't know how to grow. Okay, sorry. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
You're doing a steal. Yes.
Yeah. So. Right. Sorry, I think I don't know anything about growing cannabis, but I'm assuming that we'll be hiring trimmers. We'll definitely be hiring security guards and those who work in the facility. We anticipate somewhere between 30 to 35 people will be hired.
And the pay, and I think what Caprice was asking, the hire, and what would be the wages for trimmers?
We haven't gone that far.
Okay. Okay, so it's just in the project, it's in the making, it's in the planning.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert. So at this point, do you have any other questions so we can move on? I know you asked for a recommendation for us to move forward with this, or this is considered for a vote. So
before you do that, I'd like to just say something very quickly. I was hoping that James would go into a little more detail about what the project is. Show us, paint a picture for us about what it is. So I'll do it just a little tiny bit. And I'll say, you look at that site now, and it's a dilapidated building. And Mr. Lee's talking about a 12,000 square foot facility that he puts $1 million in, that he wants to enhance lighting and frontage. He wants to have, I think, 20 employees in. And this is all conducting a cannabis cultivation business. Exactly how that would impact the surrounding neighborhood is not for me to say. Mr. Lee could go into more detail. But it's a worthy consideration for the MAC. This is a different kind of commercial business. Whether it's something that's fit for your community is something that you can decide. But the county would have the most stringent concerns and regulations regarding management of the facility. So I think there are pros and cons on both sides. I hope that you'll review the application proposal that he provided and that we forwarded to the MAC. And I hope that you'll give it consideration and come to a reasonable decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robert, with that. A couple of things before we get off into that. As far as the building being gutted, I remember at one time that we had a youth project there in that building. If Janie can correct me, I think it was Youth Bill that was there for a couple of years that performed. So as far as and stuff, I think that's already, in place. So it's not too much. It's just a facility setting up for the process for the assembly of the bill of the facility. The other
Rubicon was in that building.
Yeah, but Janie and them talk. They also taught Youth Bill. That was part of the Youth Bill. Okay, because I was there to do presentations, and so was probation. But just to say, to say that, forgive me, I was looking for attachments, and Robert, I did not get my attachment for that. I don't know when you all sent it out as far as review, but the only attachment I got was the agenda for this evening. I was looking for more information to expound on if we were to make a recommendation, but I did not receive it. And at this point,
an attachment came out in the email today.
Oh, well, see, I didn't see it today. I was, I had other things. I was in therapy. I had other things I had to do, so I missed it. And to say that, it would be hard for me to really give any recommendation of vote for myself. I would have to excuse myself to review it again, the same as you had mentioned, to look at it and to review it. And for me to say that I won't be able to make any type of decision on my own unless I review it. And I hate that I didn't get a chance to get it in time to read over it, but I think this is something that should be held over, until our next meeting, or if we can vote on it, online and do it like that and send that information to you. At this point.
Agree. I see no problem in tabling this and taking it up at the next meeting, and reviewing more material is good. And Mr. Lee would have another opportunity to explain his project as well.
Okay, thank you so very much.
And I would like to ask Robert, would it be helpful to the board members to review the minutes from March, which Mr. Lee came to the MAC meeting in March? And I think it would be helpful to review those minutes also.
Well, I'll make a recommendation for you to add it to that so we can review it all, so we can do a comparison.
Well, Robert has that.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia.
Robert, he's the man.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia.
You feel me?
Yeah, you funny. Yeah, Robert, as much information that we need, as much information so we can make the right decision. That'd be appreciated. Okay. So with that, thank you, Mr. Lee, for your presentation. Again, coming to us again.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
We will be reviewing the information, and we'll be able to come back with a more heartily vote for what to either yea or nay at this point, okay? And
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so very much. Okay, we're down to our agencies, and it is 6:46. And and one of the good things, and I'm just gonna say this, we're not in a building, we're not in a brick and mortar right now. So if we go over a little bit, no one has to put us out. The only thing you do is leave the meeting if you would, if it's going too long. So with that, just just to mention it, but we would like to go through our agency reports at this time. Okay, so let's start with Supervisor Joya A. Robert.
Thank you, Chair Meredith. I'd like to yield my time to Healthy Richmond. I know Roxanne asked for them to go up higher. Healthy Richmond, please.
Yes, hello, Roxanne. Is she here?
Roxanne isn't here, but I'll be doing the updates. Hi, everyone. My name is Carlos Lemos. I'll keep it quick because I see time is of the essence. Great to be in the presence.
Take your time, take your time, Carlos, so we can understand, okay?
They don't have to put us out of building. We good.
Got you. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, so the main thing that we've been really focused on is conversations with the housing authority around Las Deltas and also our youth listening sessions, and moving forward, the many projects that were laid out in last year's quality of life plan proposal that the North Richmond resident leadership team put together along with other organizations and partners in the county. And so we've been getting a couple updates from that project, and just we appreciate the Housing Authority for setting monthly meetings with the team and focusing on continuing having communications with residents. And if anyone else that is a North Richmond resident would like to be a part of that, you're all welcome to also be there. And also, we're also on the stage of what the resident team can be doing and this next stage, and also trying not to be left behind in the timeline and process of the development of the Las Deltas main site and also the scattered sites, and trying to stay ahead. So, and then we've been also recently talking about the youth listening sessions with the Rice Center around listening to the youth, and also expanding it now to families and transitional youth to hear from them what kind of services or programs or what they would like to see and what's missing in North Richmond. And so we are still beginning that stage, and we're hoping to roll it out physically by October, but with all the health restrictions and the pandemic going on, we've also had to adapt our timeline to be more virtual, and also thinking about Google Forms and things like that. And as we're having these conversations, we're also thinking how to combine 2 birds with 1 stone. In some cases, it's 4 birds with 1 stone. So while we're also talking about going door to door for the youth listening gathering and outreach and getting people aware of this going on, but with so much of the pandemic going on, I know that a lot of families are prioritizing that right now. And so we wanted to also make this an effort, if we are going around the neighborhood and doing this kind of outreach, to also do outreach around resources and information and changes to policies, such as protections against evictions that residents do have, because we know that North Richmond has different protections from the county, in the city of Richmond. So making those distinctions, those are still in the conversation. And then also people also mentioned the census and civic engagement, and this is an election year. So also thinking about that, and it just, one little thing grows into a larger thing. And so we're, as our efforts are also being packaged, we're also seeing new relationships and new opportunities, such as the Zoom call for people to come together and discuss certain things. And so something that has been brought up is how to, bring communities together not everyone knows how to use Zoom per se. And so there's also that barrier. And then also the language barriers in North Richmond is also a big thing. And so I would also like to offer my support if there is any need there in outreaching to residents who might speak Spanish or whatever it might be, such as the census. And then also appreciating all the work that North Richmond, different communities are doing, such like we talked about today, the SOS, and then also Robert Rogers for putting out the media for the community to know, because, you know, I wonder what would happen if we didn't have the MAC Facebook or Robert putting together those videos. And it's really inspiring to see so much community going on in North Richmond and the rest of Richmond. And then I made the connection with what Doug was saying about, because I also studied film. And so like if Robert, you need help, you know, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of youth members that would like to learn about videos, and they probably could teach you a thing or two, maybe bring in TikTok or something. But then, you know, I heard they're gonna ban that, but that's another topic. So those are just some of the updates for the resident team. I don't want to go into the details, and we could talk more. I'll put my contact information in the chat. But other stuff that also relates to the team, I heard that BACR is also doing a survey around cannabis, if anyone has an update on that. And then also there is the warehouses, which I'm not sure what stage they were. We were in the process of gathering community input for the environmental impact report at the end of last year. The two warehouses on Par, and the other one was on near Verde in the back, Fred Jackson and Brookside, right? And then other stuff, we still have to reach out to Envision 2040 to get an update on the timeline of what the update to general plans and the climate plan is going to look, the climate action plan will look like, and how that relates or changes our timeline. So yeah, so that's just the gist of some of the updates, and still working with other organizations like Richmond Land and the Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services to support residents who might not be at the high level stuff. Even me, myself, I'm a little intimidated by some of the lingo that of the attorney language and the development and annual income and all that. So any webinars or training or workshops and all that for residents to get caught up and having the tools to be more engaged in this development stage is something that we're really looking at. So I'll leave it there, or if there's any questions. Otherwise,
okay, thank you, Carlos. I do have a couple of comments for Healthy Richmond, and thank you for filling in for Roxanne. At this point, you mentioned about going around and doing outreach. You're doing outreach about certain things that are going on, like the census and so forth. Have you taken in consideration, I've noticed, and this is from me eyeballing, noticing, due to this virus that's going around and out here in North Richmond, we have a lot of our families, our Latino families, our our families, Spanish-speaking families that are not wearing masks, are not wearing masks. This is Healthy Richmond. And when I say Healthy Richmond, I'm one of the founders of putting Healthy Richmond together. This is Healthy Richmond. It is critical that they understand if they be congregating, if they be talking, if they be partying, they need masks. I mean, one of the things that was presented today was that not only, and this is one from one of our lead medical professionals said, not only does spit drops within 6 feet, it can get airborne. Speckles can be airborne for 25 feet. I have heard people sneeze, okay, along with other individuals right there, and they do not have masks. Y'all got to get on it. You know, tell Roxanne, Annie said you got to get on it with these masks. Y'all need, if y'all do, if y'all doing this outreach, you need to get out there and let them know. y'all gotta wear masks. You gotta wear masks. This is this is contagious, okay? And as we see, the country culture is increasing. So healthy, we need our people, everybody, to come forth and start wearing these masks. The other thing that I want to just to interject is for lost deltas. Now, I was told that are you in partnership with UC Berkeley at all?
No, I haven't heard UC
You haven't
Berkeley.
heard? Okay, so this ain't for you then. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, thank you. Anybody else for Carlos?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and
Is
speak.
it okay?
Okay.
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 Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, Cynthia, go ahead.
Okay. Carlos,
Yes.
you mentioned something about making videos or something. What was that about?
Oh no, I just wanted to recognize Robert Rogers' efforts for putting together fast and on-time videos of things like SOS and all the great work that the community has been doing in North Richmond. And then also I was just drawing the connection of the earlier comments of Doug's photojournalist documentary project that he's working on. And he was talking about how the original documentary series had youth actually from the community creating that documentary of that work. And so I was just making the suggestion to Robert to consider that when he does these work.
Okay, so well, this is my second and final question. So Annie had mentioned about the people not wearing masks and everything. So what I was going to originally ask you is what type of work are you doing around COVID-19? Because it seems like all your other projects are basically on hold or at a standstill. So are you implementing other programs that you can work on, like COVID-19 and like say information to the public and whatever, assistance or giving out masks or hand sanitizers, or what's the deal?
Yeah, so we were doing a lot.
Any type of program that's centered around COVID-19 outreach?
Not specifically right now, but we were doing little connections, especially in the beginning with Meals on Wheels and CHTC. And then we had some residents who made masks, such as Leticia and Berta, and getting those to the senior residents in some of the senior apartments. And then we've been trying to figure out what volunteer opportunities there are for residents to be a part of, but our role has been more policy, especially when it came to around the county eviction protections at the county level. And then especially now with the 3 months that were part of that moratorium, we're also hearing conversations about what to do now, do we extend it, and things like that. And also with the relief funds, we've been trying to communicate some of the relief funds to some of the residents, and also pushing, for example, this isn't public yet, but RCF Connects, I think, is working on a fund for undocumented residents. And so that's some of the work we've been doing. But right now we are seeing that there is going to be, it almost feels like we're starting over back to March, where people do need relief funds. We do need the government to step in and do more protections or more resources and funds for residents who need it, because they are losing jobs and income.
Due to job loss.
Okay, we're gonna so with that, I'm sorry, Cookie. I mean, not Cookie, Cynthia. I call you
This is Cynthia.
Okay. Well, so with that, again, that's all good what you said about looking at these other, looking at the other projects. But in order to have people healthy, in order to be able to save them from evictions, they got to start wearing masks, because you might not have too many for eviction. What I'm saying, I'm just being real. That should be one of your tasks. That should be one of your tasks to get that out. Then you can simultaneously work with that. Okay, you got to have them healthy. You got to have people healthy in order to get the word out. You got to have them healthy in order to help people. With that, Carlos, thank you so very much. Okay, Robert. Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of move it on. I know it's 7 o'clock. And also Bishop was the only one, due to her her stance of having her, of her business and having, she had also asked to be moved up a little further. But then again, if Bishop, if you want to, if you okay to sit on,
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay, Robert, and then we have Lab. Okay, I'm gonna spell it L-A-B. L-A-B-D-U-L-L-A-H. The pronunciation.
L-L-A-H.
Okay, your pronunciation. She had. I need you to address Robert. Let's put you back on because she wanted to know about the houses being shook, from all that, from all that construction. She wanted to know about that. So I told her when when it was your turn, so you to address that. Is that okay?
Most certainly.
Hello. Okay.
Hey, Robert.
Robert Rogers, Supervisor Joya's office. Before I go into my report, I'll just address this issue. There is a major construction project. You've probably seen it. We did discuss it like over 2 years ago now. It takes a long time for these things to get moving. It's at the corner of the Parkway in Pittsburgh. It's that big logistics center who the occupant is not yet decided, but Panattoni is building the light warehousing that's going to be there off the Parkway. There's a lot of heavy grading that's occurring, and that's probably what's causing the shaking and the dust she's talking about. Okay. It should be done within the month, and we are assured by our public works engineers that this is not causing any impact to the nearby Parkway estates. Impact in terms of, reducing the solidity of the foundations of the houses there. So there's no problem, nothing to worry about. And, I've gotten full engineering plans to Latifa, and we can pass along more of those and also pass along the concerns and make sure that there's nothing to worry about there. It's being watched over very closely, but it is noisy for a short time.
Yeah, it's kind of invasive. Yeah.
Yep. So if you could, please send me a letter with just a couple sentences saying that, and we'll pass it along to our engineers so they can go out to the site and look for additional mitigation possibilities.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You answered your question. Okay.
So,
your report, Robert.
Sure. First and foremost, we had a terrible tragedy in North Richmond. It was just a few days ago. Mark Randall, lifelong resident, 63 years old, was lost to gun violence. And there was a beautiful celebration of life at Shields Reed on Sunday. I was blessed enough to be there. And it was very sad, but also very beautiful, the legacy that he left with so many of his friends and family. I'm going to invite others to say more about that at the conclusion of my remarks. A little bit more. Vernon Street's been ongoing. So much work has been done there. We've talked about that. We could talk about it more if needed. Census, I want to just say again how important it is for everyone to fill out the census. You can just go online, you can Google it. It takes like 2 minutes. I did it months ago. Please do it. Please ask your friends and families to do it. The mural at Verde has been completed. It's incredible. It's beautiful. So many of you made it possible. Special biggest shout out to Joe Polito, who was the biggest single donor. Incredible. Way to go, Joe. I wish he was here.
Yeah.
Also, big props to Chevron. Lily, thank you so much. You guys are always stalwart supporters, and you chipped in 1,000 on this mural this year. Thank you, Lily. 4th of July was, obviously different this year. It's a real shame we couldn't have our normal celebration in North Richmond because it's a great tradition, but it'll be back next year. Get tested for COVID-19 if you can. This is very dangerous. Some of our vulnerable populations are dying. We have a new center for testing at Kennedy. All you gotta do is call a number, sign up, go there. Supervisor Joya did it a few days ago and his family. It's free for all, so please do that. I'll conclude my remarks there. Thank you.
Okay, Robert, I have something just for you to expound on just real quickly. The incident, what you've been working on that has been a problem for the last 4 months, the trash that's between the Southern Pacific, Union Pacific Railroads next to Chesley Mutual, the sound wall. What have you gotten to that? You know, what have you gathered by contact? And I saw that you have contacted certain individuals about this. So if you could just expound just a minute or two, where are we at with that?
Thank you so much, Annie. As many of you know, there's a disgusting dump site on Chesley, just beyond the Chesley Mutual Housing Corporation property line, on the railroad property line, on the south side of the street at Chesley. It's terrible, it's disgusting, it's drawing vermin. Great leaders like Annie brought it to my attention. I snapped to action right away. Felisa has been on it, as has Janie. Our complication is that it's on railroad property. So we need the railroad to clean it up. We've gone to Felisa, we've gone to our city code enforcement partners. We've all spoken in a unified voice to get this cleaned up, and we're hoping the railroad will respond very soon. If they don't, then we're gonna have to send city crews in there to do it and bill them. But of course they want to avoid that because it's hard to get paid after you've done the work. So I hate to pass the buck, but this is the railroad's fault. Mm-hmm. And we want to get the railroad to take responsibility for their property in our community, because we can't have this kind of thing going on Chesley.
Okay, well, it's been, you know, it's been quite some time, and actually, it was actually brought to my attention by our president from the neighborhood council back in April, and she advised me to go take a look at it, and it's grown from there. You know, one of my things, I know everybody's passing, but they can't do this and that and other, but I do have a number for Channel 2. Channel 2 investigations, and I think probably they can light a fire, you know, because we're him humming, you know, with all our leaders that are asking to have something done. Even if that was done somewhere else other than North Richmond, I'm pretty sure it'd be cleaned up, and then they will bill somebody later. And this is ridiculous. So, you know, I have the number for Channel 2, and I'm really thinking about going and having a conversation with them so they can look at it, so they can light a fire up under whoever needs to have it light up. Because they humming. It's been ever since April. This is April, May, June, and now it's July. You stepped on it, you've done it, and now it looks like they're trying to hold you hostage that they can't do this. You know, we have our community person working on it. They can't, you know, they can't move on it. The county is trying to get it done. They can't do it. Now they're trying to figure out who's going to be billed with us. You know, they haven't had a problem with billing other people. You know, they bill them, and then, hey, and it's over, you know, at this point. Now, I have a chat in from Healthy Richmond. Do you want to make a comment, Carlos, at this point, or do you want to do it offline?
I was just dropping my contact information.
Okay, so Robert, that's just my statements for right
now. Yeah. Annie.
Yes.
What you're saying about the trash situation next to the Chesley Communes and the railroad, what if you say, you know, you've tried all type of avenues and all type of channels and nothing is getting done? Would it be beneficial to do a press conference or something at that location?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's where I'm going with this. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm really thinking about. Because see,
I think that would draw a lot of attention and put shame on the railroad.
Well, they don't. They should respect Supervisor Joya's office. You know, Robert has stepped up. He's taken the lead. He's ran with it. Everyone else I've talked to it. The public works, everybody has passed from the county, from the city. They can't do it. This can't do it. We got to wait on it. Union Pacific got plenty of money. They can send somebody out and pick it up. If it was anywhere else, it would have been cleared up. I got to tell it. So, you know, y'all can look for me on Channel 2.
Well, like I said, I'm going to try and bring it to a head and just to call a press conference.
Yeah, I know.
And get several news stations out there.
You got on it, and they just refused. Everybody's passing the buck. You know, everybody's passing the buck. You know, I hate to see if somebody was out there dead, what they would leave them out there. You know, it's just ridiculous, totally ridiculous. Okay, next, I'm sorry. Robert, are you done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, CHDC, Janie, are you gonna speak for Don? Community Housing Development.
No, it just, well, yeah, I can just say this, that we are, you know, in shelter in place, but some departments at CHDC are considered essential. In our department, community building and engagement and mitigation, this is considered essential. So we are here at work every day, Monday through Friday, and working very hard. It's even harder now than it was before COVID-19, because we are getting hit with everything that's happening in the community, and we try to deal with it the best way that we can. So CHDC is still up, running, moving, but most people are working from home. They do check in with the office, and if you want any type of service, we do still provide those services. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Felisa, and she can tell you what we're doing with mitigation.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Felisa Orozco. I think I've had the pleasure of meeting a handful of folks and look forward to meeting the rest of you at some point in person. As Janie said, I actually came on board to CHCD on March 16th. I think it was the day or the day before shelter-in-place orders were placed. So needless to say, yes, we've had our hands full trying to continue managing all the essential services that our department provides. As you all know, we recently just completed a community cleanup, which was put on and organized fairly quickly since it had been on hold due to COVID-19. But I think for the most part, you know, it was successful. The entire community came out, city and county helped out. So definitely that was a success. Even though it's a moving target, we're hoping that the next cleanup right now is currently scheduled for October. And so we're hoping to be able to confirm that soon. I'm also conducting weekly mitigation patrolling. So I go out and I patrol alongside with Janie and report to the city and the county, obviously, any illegal dumping spots that we see. I also monitor on a daily basis and triage all the incoming calls on our hotline regarding illegal dumping. And, you know, again, continue addressing community concerns as it relates to illegal dumping and, you know, the trash that gets created by the folks that are not sheltered. Outside of that, I continue, you know, with limited, obviously limitations due to COVID, but I continue to reach out to the community and support them any way I can and try to engage with them any way that I can to facilitate it. I am bilingual, so hoping I can partner up with Mr. Carlos and be able to facilitate a lot of that education. Annie, as you mentioned, you know, the importance of wearing masks and just how they can help keep this community clean and safe as a community versus, like you said, pointing fingers and all that, not needed, but working together. So that's kind of my goal. And does anyone have any questions for me at this time?
Yes.
Go ahead, Cynthia, go ahead, then I have something.
My question is, I kind of forgot it, but anyhow, go to somebody else. Let me think of my question.
Okay.
I was busy taking notes with questions running through my head at the same time.
Okay.
My response is to reach out to the community. So then go to somebody else.
Okay, okay, Cynthia, Felicia, okay, yes. I know that Robert had you on the task of taking it to the right place or whomever is supposed to be responsible for actually cleaning up that trash, that mound of trash. with that, I'm gonna talk to you and probably Robert offline, because once I do this, probably the press and whoever else want to be a part of, they can. To just show that, we all in support of having this move, okay, at this point, because this is totally ridiculous and it shouldn't be as long as it has been. And from my understanding that even with our county public work, when the shutdown for us to be shut in back in March, they were just off for 3 weeks, and they started back up after 3 weeks. So they started back up, picking up garbage and doing their thing. So it's not like they was absent from picking up garbage throughout the community, but they were still, they were off for 3 weeks, but they, again, started up again. So what I would like to talk to you and Robert, and whoever else want to, chime in and give me a call and stuff. So when I set up this meeting with the press, to show that we're just totally disapprove all this garbage man out here for so long. Okay.
So could I come back in now?
Annie?
Yes.
This is
Annie?
Jamie.
Okay.
I think, did you read the email that came in today from Lorena from the city?
No, enlighten me. No.
Okay.
What was
she sent the email out this morning to Robert Rogers, and she had you listed on here. And she says that according to Fernando, the illegal dumping on the railroad on Chesley is on their working schedule to be cleaned sometime this week.
Very good. Thank you,
What's
Jan.
happened is has reached
thank
out.
you, but I was ready. Thank you. I'm glad you told me that. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
So Jamie's saying the city should step in and do some cleanup by the railroad tracks, right?
Yes, yeah. Cynthia, that was Janie reporting out to us. Robert?
Thank you.
So okay. You, Annie, you may want to read the whole thing because they did reach out to the railroad. Okay. And so the city is going to move on this sometime.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Got that. So before we let CHDC go, I would like to ask Janie, can you give us any type of report on the Heritage Point, the status of it, and how's it coming along and what's going on?
Well, at this point, Heritage Point is completely rented. So they have no vacancies there, and
no vacancies.
No vacancies, and they have reported that out. I think it was last week. Yeah, they had gone through the process, and everybody was happily tucked in to their apartments. So it's
okay. So everything's going pretty smooth, huh?
Yes, and we've been working with Healthy Richmond. We've been working with different Urban Tilt, different organizations, and they're bringing food into those residents over there. They sign up with the food bank, and we are just keep giving them resources, not just to community heritage, but to Heritage Point, but also to community heritage and Chesley, all of the residents.
Okay.
So it's doing well.
Okay, Cookie. Robert, Cynthia, Robert got something to say. Robert?
Yes,
okay, got you. Thank you, Jane.
Okay.
Thank you. One thing that we have missed as a community with COVID-19 and not being able to meet as the MAC is a really huge piece of good news. And that is we have Felisa Orozco in this position. Felisa, I realize now this is your first presentation to the MAC. Felisa is filling the big shoes that were filled by Tanya Pulido before. She's our new neighborhood coordinator, and she is highly capable and a very impressive woman. We're very happy to have her here in our community. Let's all lend her our support, and let's all know how to get a hold of her with any issues regarding trash or other quality of life issues. Felisa's on board, and Janie and CHDC did a great job hiring her, and we'll be able to work together.
Thank you. Yes, and I'll also put out my information so everybody has it.
Is Felisa any akin to Carla Rosso?
I'm sorry?
No.
Any relationship to Carla?
No, Cookie, come on, we gotta move it. No, she said no.
No, I'm not.
Okay, our next, okay, so thank you all for CHCC and Supervisor Joy's office now, and Healthy Richmond, now we at Reach, and then Urban Still. Bishop?
Hey, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be brief. Just good to be back and everything. What we've been doing is going through the neighborhood where you're talking about masks and stuff. Reach has been out giving out N95s, masks and gloves to our block over here because we had saw a long time ago, and we did discuss it with Annie, that a lot of people have relaxed and not been using the mask. We also been going out door to door distancing, and we've been having a lot of fun throwing toilet paper and paper towels on people's doorsteps. And we had a chance to go by Annie's house and drop off a few things and over to different ones' houses, because during this pandemic, as you know, some of the things were hard to get was toilet paper and paper towels. So we've been getting hand sanitizer. We also was able to give out some produce and some meats, some chickens and some Cornish hens and different things. So we'll continue to do that here in North. We've been doing some property cleanup because we started in the middle of two of the properties here that doesn't have anyone living, so we with the firecrackers and stuff, so we did do a lot of cutting down and making sure that the building stays up and ours do too. So for that concern, we're still busy in North, but we just took a different approach of making sure that people have food, toilet paper, and some of the necessities. And as you know, you can pretty much find masks everywhere now, gloves anywhere now, sanitizer anywhere now. But I do believe come the end of August, we're going to be at a point where we're going to need all those things again. So we're trying to stack up for the community to make sure they have masks. And children to a certain age needs to wear masks too. So we did get a couple of Spider-Man masks for the little kids over here on Fred Jackson.
Okay.
And yeah.
You done?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, Bishop. Okay. Well, with that, do we have Urban Tilt on the line? Anyone from Urban Tilt? We have Princess. Is Princess there?
She's no longer with them. It'd be DeAndre Evans.
DeAndre, okay. Please present your report. He's not here? Oh, I guess not. Okay, well, with that, I think that will conclude our reports for this evening. And as we sign off, I would like to leave.
And nothing from Lovely Block, huh?
Yeah, no one from Lovely Block. I don't have Lovely Block here.
Okay.
I don't see anything from Lovely Block. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for participating and coming on to our Zoom. I think we had a pretty robust conversation for this evening. We got a lot done as far as conversation and see what we're moving forward with. I just saw a chat that I will be visiting Spears Circle. I'm not going to give the address, but I will be going there to talk to that household residents since they didn't get a chance to chime in. You know, we had a problem with chiming in, but they want to let us know, and so we can get it out to everybody. And also, I would like to leave this meeting in the memory of Mark Randall. He was a piece of work, but he was still loved by the community at this point. So I would like to close out in the memory of Mark. Okay. that, I would like for everyone to have a good evening. And Spears Circle, I will be seeing you about 10 minutes. I've seen your address, okay? And I will be coming to your house in 10 minutes just to see what you had to say so I can get it over to Robert, okay? All right. So thank you all. Have a blessed evening, and thank you so much. And we would like to chime in August the 4th at the same time, because you know we're still going to be Zooming at this point, okay?
Yeah, so next meeting,
who, huh?
next meeting date.
We're going to be Zooming.
Somebody gonna zoom in who, huh?
Okay, and I don't have to tell the 165 and over to do it. You know, they say it done dropped 15, years back. Okay, so that means, even some of these youngsters, y'all tell them to wear these masks, okay? All right.
Okay, for the records, give me the next meeting date.
Okay, it is August the 4th, which is Tuesday. It's the first Tuesday of the month, 5 o'clock, 5 to 7 p.m. Okay, thank you all so very much. Appreciate you, and y'all have a blessed day, okay?
Thank you, Annie, for
All right,
facilitating.
thank you, Annie.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
7:27. Okay.
You got a cookie? Okay, I'm gone. Thank you,
So
Robert.
Annie.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Are you still there? Hi, this is
Yeah,
Leticia.
I'm still here
I
before
know.
I check out. Yes.
Maybe it's late, but I heard you saying it's just a comment that I would do. If you have a minute for me.
Yes, honey, I do. Before I go see this
yeah. When we're trying to make people out of the situation about COVID going on, like we want to make all of the community. So I was wondering, and I'm thinking about that too, is like we cannot really do much outreach like one-to-one, but I was thinking about maybe if the county, somebody can help us to do like maybe posts with, the mask or something, just to make people aware and remind people that they should.
My neighbors, they laugh at me. I tell them, they speak. I say, y'all wear your mask at? And they'll laugh. Oh, Miss Annie, they'll point that it's in the car. I say, what's doing in the car? I say,
exactly. Yeah, I pass by the park, the Shields Red Park too, and I see a lot of people sometimes gathered there.
Yeah.
And I don't see them wearing the mask. So I mean, I think that maybe if we put, like reminders, something, how, or trying to explain it with notes. I mean, how I know that they know, a lot of them know, but maybe some not, or maybe just a reminder that you have to wear your mask if you are out in public.
Right, and I tell them, and they laugh. They say it's in the car, or they got it. I said, well, y'all better put it on. And they just laugh.
You better put it on.
But they laugh at me. They'll smile. I say, y'all, you know better than that.
Yeah, that's hard, but be like a post, a sign.
I don't know, but
somewhere.
But Leticia, this is why we need Healthy Richmond. Like I said, that's one of the choices Healthy Richmond should do. Put on masks, get it. I mean, that's what we formulated. When we formulated Healthy, when I was at the beginning of Healthy Richmond, actually hiring Roxanne. This is what we need to do. This is what they need to do. This is that's their task. They need to go out into the community and let everybody know y'all got to wear masks. Okay, quit playing.
Yeah,
got to wear masks because everybody getting sick. It don't have no color line.
Exactly. No, because it's like
really.
We all are.
Young folks and taking old folks. Ain't nobody.
Yeah. We are. The point here is how do we get together, or what it would be.
Well, that's what I was telling Carlos. I told him to go back to Roxanne and talk to Roxanne. Yeah. And I meant to talk to Roxanne and get some done. They Healthy Richmond. That's what we put them in charge for. The health of Richmond. It was actually started the health of North Richmond. So she knows, they got to get busy. You really got to get busy because there's too many of our neighbors walking around here without no mask on.
Yeah, we want to make them wear, just to, I don't know, realize that they have to wear.
People without masks. That's just the bottom line. It's just too many of them. You know, they need to know this. They, you know, it ain't no joke. You know, I don't know if they're looking at the news or what. They better start looking at the news and start listening.
You know, I don't know. I don't understand it either, you know, but I mean, I'm just trying to find a way, like, how do I make them,
Well,
how
honey,
can we make it
like
work?
I tell them,
How can we help?
You come across, ask them, you know, friendly, a friendly, say, where's your mask? Yeah, ask them right there, wear your mask. You know, they're going to either tell you they got it or they don't, or they're going to tell you to shut up. Ain't nobody told me to shut up yet. they just laugh and tell me they got it in the car. That's what they tell me. It's in the car.
They said they got it, yeah, but maybe, like I said, you know, maybe like some post or something. We'll think about it. Okay, so I just want to bring it up. Like, I mean,
you keep in touch with me and Robert, you know, and we'll do something about it. You know, if you see him, tell him like I do. Wear your mask, you know.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right.
Okay,
Well,
honey.
great. Thank you very much. It was nice to be able to join you.
Okay, well, honey,
by the Zoom.
Get on it. Robert sends out the agenda. Him and Cynthia, they takes care of us. So, you know, get involved. Okay.
All right. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Leticia. Thank you, Annie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, we going. I gotta go see these people over here on Spears Circle. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, honey. Bye-bye. See you, Robert. I'm out of here. Okay. Bye-bye. And I'll read my emails. Okay. All right.